Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Andrew Schmertz. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting's Aviation Month, our 11th annual Aviation Month. It's been quite a few years that we've been putting this on, but we've had exceptional businesses in the field of aviation come join us on Savvy and share their wisdom, not only in aviation, but in business. And you have quite some wisdom. You started Hopscotch Air, an air taxi, and you're going to share the possible future travel with air taxi. What does that look like for anyone out there? Travel's been a bit crazy the past couple of years with all the COVID stuff, but people are just starting to get out there, and air taxi like Hopscotch Air is just one way for people to get on out there. And I'd say an exceptional way if you're not a pilot and can fly yourself. But share with everyone a little bit about your company and yourself.
So first, thanks for having me on. So Hopscotch Air is exactly what you said. It's an air taxi operation. We fly regionally on demand from New York locations. And you mentioned that travel has come back and air travel has come back. It has not only come back, but it has exploded in commercial aviation to the point where the airlines cannot handle the demand. Now, they can't handle the demand because of a problem of their own creation, which is they have a pilot shortage. And there's a number of reasons why we blame the airlines for the pilot shortage, but it has to do with low pay, terrible working conditions for decades. Now they're trying to solve that problem, but you can't just create a new pilot the next day. So the regional airlines have canceled or cut back service to multiple communities throughout the Northeast, throughout the entire country, in fact, and Hopscotch Air can fill that demand. So we fly a specific type of aircraft, the Cirrus aircraft, an aircraft that you're very familiar with, I know, because your husband has one and you fly with him all the time. The SR-22 and the SR-20s are perfect aircraft for these missions. The typical passengers are two people. And the core of the business is really, White Plains to Nantucket. In the summer, we can't fly to Nantucket enough times. But while that is the core of the business, Cape Cod, we do fly anywhere within, 200-300 mile range around New York, Boston, up to Canada. And it fills a very specific need people have, specifically on business trips when they need to go to a place and come back the same day. And if they're taking airline, that would be a multi-leg journey.
Yeah. And so I'm guessing there might be some business owners listening in, because a good portion of our audience are business owners. You might be having to take a trip to Boston. You can go to Boston Logan. And I'm guessing you could travel in any of the nearby airports in the East, including like maybe Boston or Philadelphia and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So we fly into Logan all the time. It's not our favorite airport, obviously, but we do fly into it. However, if you are going to the technology corridor in Boston, then maybe you're going to Hanscom in Bedford, because that is right on the technology corridor, the pharmaceutical corridor. Also, if you're going to a Patriots game, you're going to fly into Norwood. And we have a number of customers who, unfortunately, are Patriots fans, as a Giant fan. But we fly them Norwood and to Beverly and to all the local airports. I tell a story of a customer who was going to Lancaster. And we always ask customers, where are you really going? What is your final destination? Because most people only know big commercial airports. And Lancaster is a small airport, but it is a commercial airport. But they were going to a place called Collegeville, PA, construction company. They were building some homes in Collegeville. And we said, there's an airport in Collegeville. Most people have not heard about it, but it's a runway and a windsock. That's an airport. And so we were able to fly them into Collegeville. So that's really the benefits of the service.
Yeah, it's interesting that I'm glad you brought that up, because it's true. Most people think of the big airports, but there are so many, I think over 5,000, right? Across the United States, general aviation airports that will hit little hubs that you don't need to go to the big airports, that wherever you're going, there could most probably be a small general aviation airport that a Cirrus of yours could land at and get you to the place a little quicker. Because imagine going to one one of the bigger airports and having to take a cab, rushing to your meeting. You could conceivably shave a lot more time off of your business travel, traveling GA.
Absolutely. And that's what we're giving people. We're giving people the opportunity to have some of their time back. So maybe you have to be home for your kid's softball game in the evening. We can do that. And that is a huge benefit to the service because we can access all of those airports. We also fly routinely into JFK. So we're a small plane, but we can fly into JFK like anybody else. So we have a much greater palette of places and destinations we can take people to. And specifically during COVID, when people did not want to be in crowded airports and they did not want to be on crowded airplanes, we offered a viable option for people to fly a different way.
Yeah. Now, show me how that looks, because I know one of the things I've been told by people that made the whole travel difficult was during the COVID time, a lot of extra time taken to get on the airplane because of check-ins and the COVID checks and TSA and all that jazz. What does it look like when they travel general aviation? Is it different than, say, traveling the big commercial?
So when you're traveling on Hopscotch Air, and there are different levels, but when you're traveling on a Hopscotch Air because of the type of class of aircraft, we're flying from private terminals, what's known as fixed base operators, FBOs. So immediately you're not in the commercial terminal environment, even when you go to a large airport. There are significantly different security requirements. I would not say less security requirements, but there are different security requirements. And because it's only you and a couple people flying, you can pass through all those requirements much quicker and get onto the airplane. So we have a phrase that we say, get to the airport, get on the plane, get to where you're going, but that's basically the model. And unlike a traditional charter company, which is flying expensive, larger equipment, the service is much more accessible to a wider group of people. Yeah,
I'm guessing from looking at the numbers, it really is like flying business class, or maybe first class, but really like flying business class.
It is. It's comparable service to, you really can't fly first class domestically anymore, but to business class, especially when you're traveling with multiple people, because there's only one price.
Exactly.
And so you can amortize that cost a little bit better.
Yeah. Now, Cher, what do you think? Because you mentioned there was a pilot shortage, and there's a number of reasons for it, and I don't think the whole COVID thing helped, because a lot of pilots or airlines had to furlough, which means let go of pilots, which now, hey, come on back, people. It's not that easy. So what do you see as the future for aviation and piloting? Like someone listening in going, hey, maybe I want a second career and I'd like to fly air taxi or fly in aviation in some capacity. What would you suggest?
So this is a great time to be a pilot or to want to be a pilot. There are tremendous opportunities out there in all levels of aviation. The airlines have raised, obviously, wages. They have improved working conditions, but they're still airlines. And so the second their fuel prices go up and people cut back on flying, they're going to lay off people. That's typically what happens. The charter industry is another opportunity for pilots to get involved in. And there's a range of different qualifications required depending on the type of equipment you're flying. So it is a great time to be a pilot. In fact, flight schools are doing phenomenally well as they recruit pilots. The challenge, however, is it's still a long time before you are qualified to fly for any air carrier. And that's average of 4 to 6 years. It's number of hours, it's experience. But if you're in high school right now and you're thinking of a career in aviation, I'd say go for it. Go to a university that has an aviation program. There are a number of great schools out there, so you get a full-rounded education. I always say when we hire pilots, I always say, what else do you want to do? Because there are opportunities within Hopscotch to do other things, whether it's sales or whether it's marketing. And I say that because of the challenges pilots have when the economy has a downturn. And the pilot shortage we're in, like I said before, is a result of years and years of poor working conditions and wages. It is not, I do not believe it is the number of hours. Congress raised the number of hours for airline pilots. I don't believe that's been a factor.
No. In fact, we had a gal on who's been a Savvy guest several times on Savvy Broadcasting for Aviation Month, and alternatively, a commercial pilot for over 30 years. And she's talked to some of those things, that it's a really tough career. You might love it, but I like, to your point, to always have a backup. So when you do at times become furloughed as a pilot or let go for a time being, that you have something to fall back on, so that when the airlines do hire back or you find another capacity to fly, that you have something to supplement your income. Now, also, I'm wondering, going forward, now you mentioned, like, say it costs a lot for flying for a company like an air taxi. Do you require less hours or more hours than, say, the major airlines?
So let me answer that in two parts. First, let me tell you about the FAA rules and requirements, and then I'll tell you about Hopscotch. So the airline requirement is you have to have 1,500 hours to have what's known as an Air Transport Pilot Certificate, ATP certificate. And basically, you have to get that through an airline or through a training center like Flight Safety or CAE. Hopscotch Air is regulated under a different part of the Federal Aviation Regulations, and so the requirements are at least 1,200 hours and some other requirements within there. However, we always look for higher time pilots who have technologically advanced aircraft experience, because the Cirrus is a TAA aircraft, and that's because of the avionics, et cetera, on board. But we make individual decisions. We make decisions based on the individuals, based on their interview, based on what they want to do, and how qualified they ultimately are. And you can't apply for a job on Monday and start flying on Tuesday. There's an extensive training program. There's a background check. There's a number of things that will scare you away from the business unless you're really committed to the business.
Yeah, I like that you say that, because this is something that's going to be the long haul. It's like becoming a doctor. You don't just say, I'm going to be a doctor and next year I'm a doctor. It's going to be a 12-year minimum, if not more, commitment before you're out there, Dr. So-and-so. And the same goes with the pilot. I think some people have construed today that flying an airplane up in the air, especially the majors, is like driving a bus. Not even close. Not even close. No. Yeah.
but the airlines treated them like bus bus drivers for the longest time, and that was the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I think people have this idea that a computer can fly it and you can let everyone go home. No, trust me, you don't want that.
No, you want humans. You want humans at the controls.
Exactly.
At least to back up the computer.
Exactly. Well, what happened on the Hudson with Sully.
Exactly. Perfect example.
If he couldn't, take that off of autopilot and get that thing landed the proper way, there would have been a very bad day for a lot of people. I thank you for coming out. I want everyone to find out more. If they want to fly to their next business trip or wherever, maybe for fun, how can they get in contact with you and book their next flight?
So the easiest way is just to go to our website, flyhopscotch.com. Flyhopscotch.com. Through there, you can contact us through all the normal means of communication, either through the website, through email. Some people actually still pick up the phone and call and dial the number. So there is a number of ways of reaching the company.
Awesome. Well, I just have to thank you again, Andrew, for all the wonderful work you're doing at Hopscotch Air and providing this wonderful service. Thanks for coming to Savvy Broadcasting.
Thank you. And your podcast is essential to small businesses everywhere. You're doing a real good service.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. Take care.
Thanks.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more Savvy episodes and Savvy Biz Tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.